Okay, let's get into this. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really intense story. It's based on excerpts from Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. And look, this is definitely not your average read. The author herself is very upfront about content warnings, which honestly we need to acknowledge right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says, this is a dark book that includes stalking, non-dubcon, graphic violence, and sexual situations. And she adds a lot of sexual situations. Now, that term non-dubcon, that's non-consensual or dubiously consensual stuff. It's pretty central here. The author even says the subject matter is pretty fucked up, her words, and that she felt she had to state the triggers. So, yeah, it tells you right there, this is boundary pushing dark territory. Our goal today is to kind of unpack the core ideas from this deep dive, look at the complexities, analytically. So it starts with Addie. She's an author and she inherits this house, Parsons Manor, from her Nana. But it's not just any house, right? It's described as being on a cliffside overlooking a bay, mile-long driveway through woods. Basically, you feel totally isolated. It has this menacing, sorrowful aura. But Addie, even though she's kind of awkward socially, she seems to appreciate the gothic glory of it all.
And what's striking right off the bat is how the setting is just, it's more than a backdrop. It feels like a character itself. Parsons Manor, this place that could swallow you whole.
Yeah.
It immediately sets this, like, ominous tone. And Addie kind of leans into it, doesn't she? Even the little detail about the thermostat setting it to 74 or so, so she's comfortable in her clothes. It grounds you in her immediate reality, her senses, within this creepy place. It really anchors the whole thing.
Right. And it doesn't take long for things to get disturbing. Intrusions start happening pretty quickly. She and her friend Dia are upstairs, and when they come down, there's an empty whiskey glass and a single red rose just sitting on the kitchen island. Nobody saw anyone. Then later, this violent pounding on the front door, but nobody's there. Yet Addie feels it. She says, "There's someone watching me. I can feel it. I'm as sure of it as I am about the existence of gravity." And even after she replaces windows, locks, the intruder, quote, always find a way in.
And the rose, the glass.
Yeah.
That's not accidental, is it? Leaving evidence like that. It's very deliberate, psychological.
Exactly. He wants her to know.
Yeah, to know he can get in,
Yeah.
that she's not safe. It creates this constant uh, low-level dread. And Addie's reaction is interesting, too. She's absolutely terrified, but also just as stubborn. It sets up her whole way of dealing with this fear.
And adding to that weirdness, she apparently filed police reports about the roses, the break-ins, but they're just gone, not on file.
Which just deepens that sense of isolation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like maybe the threat is bigger or more connected than just one person. Makes you wonder.
Things definitely escalate from there. Addie brings a guy, Archie, back from a club to the manor. Their night gets interrupted by that same furious pounding the door. And Archie, well, he doesn't react well, shows his own aggressive side, punches the drywall, says something pretty nasty like, since I'm not getting yours, thought I'd create my own hole. Fix that, bitch.
Oof, yeah. Right.
Not long after that, Addie gets a package delivered, and it's horrific. A hand. And another hand. Two of them. In a box. On my porch.
Well,
And then a text message. Don't feel guilty, baby. I don't make idle threats, so consider this a lesson learned.
that's an extreme escalation. It's not just a threat anymore. It's graphic proof of capability and possessiveness. It's horrifying.
Absolutely. And later, Sheriff Walters reveals some background on Archie. Turns out he was tied to a cocaine crime family, had multiple domestic violence accusations against him, though charges were dropped.
So not exactly an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire.
No. And the sheriff also points out that another rose, a bloody one this time, left at Addie's door feels personal, like a specific message from the stalker related to Archie.
It really drives home the stalker's absolute control and the sort of dark logic operating here. Violence as communication.
Mm.
It's deeply unsettling.
And all this present danger pushes Addie to look into the past, the house's history. Her mother drops a bombshell. Addie's great-grandmother Gigi was actually murdered in that house, in the very bedroom Addie's using now. Yeah. And Gigi also had a stalker, one she supposedly fell in love with, but who her mother thinks must have killed her eventually. Then Addie finds Gigi's old diaries up in the attic, describing how she felt like she was being hunted.
The parallels are just chilling. It's not just a coincidence anymore. It feels like history repeating itself, almost like the house itself has this pattern.
Right. And Dia, the best friend who's good with computers, she helps out, hacks into the police database. They find the old case file on Gigi, found in her bed with her throat slit and a cigarette burn on her wrist. Case unsolved. Insufficient evidence.
So it's not just a family story. It's a real, documented, unsolved murder with disturbing details. The cigarette burn, the slit throat, Very specific. And the fact that it happened there, in that room, it connects Addie's current fear directly to this violent past, the diaries, the missing page Gigi mentioned. It all becomes part of this generational haunting.
Exactly. But then the story takes another huge turn. We find out who the stalker is, Zade. And he has this whole other life. He's a vigilante. He's going after pedophile rings and human trafficking networks.
Okay, wait. So the guy stalking Addie is also out there doing that.
Yeah. It describes him infiltrating this rubber factory where girls are chained up, taking out a bunch of guys, brutally interrogating a leader called Fernando. It's described as a bloodbath.
A bloodbath.
Right. And his targets are big names, too, like this politician, Mark Seinberg, who's apparently involved in these awful, sadistic rituals with children, sacrifices, drinking blood, truly dark stuff. Zade hits these high-security clubs, Saviors, Pearl, that are fronts for these operations. His whole goal is apparently to destroy the skin trade.
So how does that even work? How does the narrative, or Zade himself, square that circle? The brutal stalking and violence towards Addie on one hand, and this mission to save innocence on the other? It's a huge contradiction.
That's a central question, isn't it? The book presents him using this brutal violence, believing, like, knowledge is most valuable when understood and applied. He operates completely outside the law.
Deciding who's worth saving and who's worth killing.
Yeah.
By his own judgment. That's a really complex, morally gray area this story is diving into.
It absolutely is. It forces you to see this character into completely different and frankly conflicting lights.
Does the book ever really try to, like, justify his methods? Or does it leave it more ambiguous?
I'd say it leans more towards showing, not telling. It doesn't shy away from the graphic nature of what he does, both the vigilantism and the stalking. It kind of forces you to grapple with whether the ends could ever justify those memes. It definitely challenges your moral compass.
Right. It puts the onus on the reader to sit with that discomfort.
Definitely. And then these two worlds, Addie's life and Zade's mission, they collide spectacularly. Addie and Daya go to this haunted fair called Satan's Affair, and guess who else is there?
Let me guess. Mark Seinberg. The politician Zade's after.
Bingo. And he's actually trying to get Addie and Daya kidnapped, sees them as, quote, prime girls for the pickin' for his network.
Oh, God. So Addie was a target even beyond Zade.
Apparently. And this is where another character comes in, Sibby. She's dressed like a broken doll, but she's also described as a demon slayer, going after the same people Zade is.
Another vigilante.
Yeah. And she's driven by revenge. Her mother committed suicide because of this network. She ends up brutally killing Mark Seinberg there at the fair. We also learned she'd previously stabbed her own father 153 times.
Wow. Okay, so this is a whole ecosystem of violence and revenge operating beneath the surface. And Zade's presence there, presumably intervening or watching, it highlights that he sees himself as her protector, right?
Yeah.
Even though his methods are extreme.
Exactly. It shows the scale of the danger Addie's in. It's not just one stalker. It's this whole horrifying network, the society, that had apparently marked her even before Zade showed up.
Which puts his actions in a slightly different, though still deeply problematic light.
Problematic is definitely the word. Because the relationship or dynamic between Addie and Zade gets incredibly complicated and morally questionable. His stalking leads to physical encounters. And the book is explicit. They start out as non-consensual.
Right. The non-dubcon the author warned about.
Yes. But then Addie admits to feeling this really disturbing mix of emotions, fear, anger, but also desire. There's this scene in A House of Mirrors where Zade says it outright. I stalk her because I'm fucking addicted. I'm addicted to her scent, her taste, and the way she sounds when she's scared for her life, just as much as I'm addicted to the way she sounds when she's begging for more.
That's incredibly intense.
Yeah.
And chilling.
And he tells her, you're sadly mistaken if you thought I was going to make this anything but painful.
So the narrative is deliberately playing with those lines, blurring consent and desire in a way that's meant to be provocative, unsettling.
Absolutely. Zade seems to interpret even her defiance as some kind of reciprocation. It forces you, the listener, to confront these really uncomfortable feelings about control, agency, attraction, fear, all mixed up together.
Yeah, it's definitely not trying to give you easy answers about what's happening there. It's making you experience Addie's confusion and, frankly, the disturbing nature of that dynamic. How do you even process that kind of psychological manipulation alongside developing feelings?
It's a tough question. The book seems to immerse you in her distorted reality, maybe exploring something like Stockholm Syndrome, where survival and dependence get tangled up with darker emotions. It really thrives on that ambiguity.
Okay. So While all that is going on, what about the past? Gigi's murder. Does that get resolved?
It does, thanks to Daya's hacking again. She uncovers the truth, and it connects directly back to Zade's targets. Turns out, it was fucking Frank Seinberg, Mark Seinberg's
The
father.
father the politician Zade was after. It's all connected.
Deeply connected. Daya finds a ripped-out page from Gigi's diary. It's basically a forced confession from someone else. I did what I was told to do. I helped him cover up her murder. And a missing watch, linked by serial number to Frank Seinberg, confirms his involvement.
Wow. So Frank Seinberg killed Gigi. Why?
The implication seems to be, well, Frank maybe thought Gigi's husband, John, killed her, possibly over an affair or because she wanted to leave. Frank was later angry about him, which seems to point to Gigi's original stalker. It's a bit tangled, but Frank was definitely the killer. And Nana, Addie's grandmother, who lived to be 91, she knew. She carried that secret her whole life, which might explain why she always seems so tired.
That adds such a heavy layer to the story. Parsons Manor wasn't just the site of violence, it was wrapped up in generations of secrets held by the family, tied to this powerful, corrupt family, the Seinbergs. History repeating itself, indeed.
Right. And then Zade finally explains himself more clearly to Addie. He tells her flat out, "You were in danger, whether he's dead or not," meaning Seinberg. He says, "The society had already marked you before I even came into the picture."
So he's explicitly framing his stalking as protection.
Pretty much. He says, "You need my protection more than you need my cock, but I fully intend on giving you both," which is quite a line.
Yeah, so blunt, and still incredibly controlling.
He then kind of challenges her, tells her to stop acting like a brat and apply her effort towards something useful, or stay powerless.
It's a twisted sort of empowerment narrative, isn't it? Coming from him. Does Addie really have a choice at this point, given everything?
That's the lingering question, I think. He reframes everything, casts himself as this dark protector against a bigger evil. It forces Addie and you as the reader to reevaluate him, but within these incredibly extreme coercive circumstances. What does choice even mean there?
Exactly. It's still fundamentally about his control, even if he dresses it up as giving her agency.
So, okay, let's try to wrap our heads around this. What does it all really mean, this deep dive into haunting Adeline? It's shown us a story just drenched in psychological complexity, right?
Definitely. And those historical parallels, the generational trauma,
Yeah.
plus this really unsettling mix of dark romance tropes with brutal vigilante justice.
Yeah. From the Gothic manor, Gigi's secrets, all the way to these hidden trafficking rings and this society, it really pushes you to confront some very uncomfortable ideas about obsession, what protection looks like, and the frankly terrifying cost of safety in that world.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it? About control, about consent, especially when the lines are so deliberately blurred. And about morality, when people operate so far outside the law, even if they claim it's for a good reason. The story doesn't give easy answers. It keeps challenging you on the characters' choices, their motivations, however disturbing they might be.
It's a really stark exploration of extreme behavior, this hidden, dark world. It definitely doesn't flinch. So we've given you this look inside a very specific, very intense narrative. It doesn't just tell a story, it demands you wrestle with it. Now, thinking about all this, what stands out to you about the uncomfortable truths this story forces us to confront?